The grand halls of St. Andrew's University echoed with footsteps as a young prince walked through its ancient corridors in 2001. William Arthur Philip Lewis, second in line to the British throne, had chosen this Scottish institution not for its proximity to royal estates, but for the promise of normalcy. He craved 4 years of being just another student, away from the relentless flash of cameras and the weight of destiny that had pressed upon his shoulders since birth. In a modest student flat nearby, Catherine Elizabeth Middleton unpacked her belongings with careful precision. The daughter of former flight attendants who had built a successful party supply business, Kate possessed a quiet confidence that set her apart. She had no idea that her decision to study art history at St. Andrews would change not only her life, but the future of the British monarchy itself. Their first meeting happened during a casual gathering in the common room of St. Salvator's Hall. William, attempting to blend in with jeans and a simple sweater, noticed the brunette with the warm smile who seemed completely unfazed by his presence. While others stuttered or stared, Kate simply extended her hand and introduced herself as if he were any other freshman. This simple act of treating him as William rather than Your Royal Highness sparked something within the prince. As weeks turned into months, a genuine friendship blossomed. They discovered shared interests in swimming, skiing, and art. Kate would often find William in the university library, his security detail trying to remain inconspicuous among the stacks of books. She would slide into the seat across from him, spreading out her own notes, and they would study in comfortable silence, occasionally breaking into quiet laughter over shared jokes. The transformation from friendship to romance wasn't sudden, but rather a slow burn that caught them both by surprise. The pivotal moment came during a charity fashion show in March 2002. Kate walked the runway in a sheer dress over a bikini, and William, sitting in the front row, saw his friend in an entirely new light. He later confessed to friends that it was like seeing her for the first time, though they had spent countless hours together over the past year. Their relationship remained hidden from the public eye for nearly 2 years, a remarkable feat considering William's status. They moved into a shared house with other friends, maintaining the facade of being just housemates. Kate learned to navigate the complex world of royal protocol while maintaining her own identity. She attended polo matches, sitting far from the royal box, and slipped in and out of nightclubs through back entrances to avoid photographers. The prince found in Kate something he had been searching for his entire life, a partner who saw him as a man first and a future king second. She possessed an innate understanding of when to step forward and when to fade back, when to speak and when to remain silent. Her middle-class background, rather than being a hindrance, proved to be an asset. She brought a refreshing perspective to William's world, one grounded in the realities of modern Britain. Their graduation in 2005 marked the end of their protective university bubble. The world now knew about their relationship, and Kate found herself thrust into a spotlight she had never sought. Photographers followed her every move, comparing her to Diana and speculating about her worthiness to be a future queen. The pressure was immense, but Kate handled it with a grace that impressed even the most skeptical royal watchers. The years that followed tested their relationship in ways neither had anticipated. William's military training took him away for long periods, and the constant media scrutiny wore on them both. In 2007, they briefly separated, a decision that shocked the public and delighted the tabloids. During those months apart, both realized the depth of their connection. William understood that his life felt incomplete without Kate's steady presence, while she recognized that despite the challenges, she wanted to be with him. Their reconciliation was quiet but decisive. William had learned from his parents' troubled marriage and was determined not to repeat their mistakes. He wanted to be absolutely certain before taking the next step. Kate, for her part, used the time to further prepare herself for the role that seemed increasingly inevitable. She studied royal history, perfected her public speaking, and developed her own charitable interests. The engagement announcement in November 2010 felt like a fairy tale moment to millions around the world. William had proposed during a private holiday in Kenya, presenting Kate with his mother's sapphire and diamond ring. The choice was deeply symbolic, a way of including Diana in this momentous occasion while also showing his trust in Kate to carry forward her legacy. As they stood before the cameras at St. James's Palace, their body language spoke volumes. Gone was the nervous young woman who had first faced the media years earlier. In her place stood a confident future princess, one hand resting gently on William's arm, speaking eloquently about their love and their future together. William, usually reserved in public, couldn't hide his joy, frequently gazing at his fiancée with obvious adoration. The wedding on April 29, 2011, was watched by an estimated 2 billion people worldwide. Westminster Abbey, where monarchs had been crowned for nearly 1,000 years, provided the perfect backdrop for this modern fairy tale. Kate's dress, designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, struck the perfect balance between traditional and contemporary, much like the bride herself. As Catherine walked down the aisle, her father by her side, she carried with her the hopes of a monarchy seeking to modernize while maintaining its traditions. The girl from Bucklebury was about to become Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge, but more importantly, she was marrying the man she loved. William waited at the altar, his military uniform a reminder of his service, his expression soft as he watched her approach. Their vows, spoken clearly and confidently, resonated through the Abbey and across the world. When William struggled to slide the ring onto Kate's finger, she smiled and helped him, a small moment of humanity that endeared them even more to the watching millions. As they emerged from the Abbey as husband and wife, the bells pealing overhead, a new chapter in the royal story had begun. The carriage ride through London showed a couple comfortable in their roles but also genuinely happy. They waved to the crowds but also shared private jokes and tender glances. On the Buckingham Palace balcony, their kiss, actually 2 kisses, after the crowd chanted for more, sealed not just their marriage but their pact with the British people. They would be a different kind of royal couple, one that balanced duty with authenticity, tradition with modernity. The early years of marriage brought both joy and adjustment for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They set up their first home in a modest cottage on the Anglesey coast of Wales, where William served as a search and rescue pilot with the Royal Air Force. Far from the palaces and ceremony of London, they created a cocoon of normalcy, shopping at the local supermarket and walking their dog along windswept beaches. Kate embraced this period of relative anonymity, learning to cook William's favorite meals and transforming their cottage into a warm, welcoming home. She understood that these years were precious, a chance to build the foundation of their marriage away from the constant scrutiny of royal life. William would return from his shifts, sometimes exhausted from difficult rescues, to find Kate waiting with a home-cooked meal and a listening ear. The announcement of Kate's first pregnancy in December 2012 marked a shift in their lives. The severe morning sickness that hospitalized her brought an outpouring of public sympathy and also intense media coverage. William became fiercely protective, remembering how the press had hounded his mother during her pregnancies. He issued strongly worded statements demanding privacy, showing a steel that surprised those who had seen him as the more diplomatic of Diana's sons. Prince George's birth in July 2013 transformed them from a young married couple into a family. The image of William carefully carrying the car seat out of the hospital, Kate beside him in a light blue dress, became iconic. They had rehearsed the moment, knowing the world was watching, but their joy was entirely genuine. William's hands shook slightly as he secured the car seat, a new father's nervousness that resonated with parents everywhere. Their approach to parenting reflected their desire to give their children as normal an upbringing as possible within the constraints of royal life. They hired a nanny but insisted on being hands-on parents. William changed diapers and did night feeds, while Kate took George to baby music classes, sitting cross-legged on the floor with other mothers who tried to pretend this was entirely normal. As they settled into parenthood, their royal duties began to increase. Queen Elizabeth, then in her late 80s, started gradually passing more responsibilities to the younger generation. William and Kate took on more patronages, more overseas tours, more state occasions. They approached these duties as a team, carefully coordinating their appearances and messages. Kate's evolution during this period was remarkable. The shy girl who had once blushed when speaking in public developed into a confident speaker and a natural with crowds. She had studied the Queen's approach carefully, noting how Her Majesty made everyone feel seen during walkabouts. Kate adopted this technique, crouching down to speak with children at eye level and remembering details about people she had met previously. Princess Charlotte's arrival in May 2015 completed what many saw as the perfect royal family unit. The image of George peering curiously at his baby sister while Kate held her outside the hospital captured hearts worldwide. William joked about being outnumbered by women now, but his pride in his growing family was evident. They were creating the stable, loving family environment that had sometimes eluded previous generations of royals. The Cambridge family's move to Norfolk's Anmer Hall, their country home, reflected their priorities. Here, away from London's formality, they could give their children mud-splattered childhoods. George and Charlotte attended local nursery schools, played with the children of nearby families, and helped tend the vegetable garden Kate had planted. William often flew his own helicopter to official engagements, returning home in time for bedtime stories. Their working partnership evolved during these years into something unique in royal history. Unlike previous generations, where royal wives were expected to be decorative supporters, William and Kate functioned as equals. They divided charitable causes strategically, with Kate focusing on early childhood development and mental health, while William concentrated on conservation and homelessness. Yet they frequently appeared together, their synchronized approach demonstrating a united front. The birth of Prince Louis in April 2018 coincided with increasing tensions within the royal family. Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle had initially seemed to create a dynamic Fab Four of young royals, but cracks soon appeared. William and Kate watched with concern as relationships deteriorated, trying to balance family loyalty with their duty to the institution. When Harry and Meghan decided to step back from royal duties in 2020, the ramifications for William and Kate were profound. Suddenly, the future of the monarchy rested almost entirely on their shoulders. The careful timeline they had envisioned, with years to prepare before ascending to major roles, compressed dramatically. They handled the crisis with dignity, never speaking publicly about private family matters, while quietly taking on the additional duties. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed new dimensions of their leadership. Unable to conduct traditional royal visits, they embraced technology, conducting video calls with frontline workers and isolated elderly people. Kate's natural warmth translated beautifully through screens, while William's experience as an emergency responder gave him credibility when discussing the crisis. They homeschooled their children while maintaining a full schedule of virtual engagements, showing the kind of multitasking familiar to parents everywhere. Their most significant evolution came through their approach to mental health advocacy. William had long spoken about the impact of his mother's death, but during these years, both he and Kate became increasingly open about emotional wellness. They launched Heads Together, bringing mental health discussions into the mainstream in a way that would have been unthinkable for previous royal generations. Kate's landmark work on early childhood development demonstrated her growing confidence in tackling complex issues. She didn't just lend her name to causes, but immersed herself in research, consulting with experts, and developing substantive initiatives. Her 5 Big Questions survey reached over 500,000 people, showing her ability to mobilize public engagement on important issues. The Caribbean tour of 2022 marked a turning point in their approach to royal duties. Faced with protests and questions about colonialism, they showed a willingness to engage with difficult history that previous royals might have avoided. William's speech acknowledging the abhorrent slave trade and expressing profound sorrow demonstrated a modernizing monarchy willing to confront uncomfortable truths. Behind the scenes, they were preparing their children for their unique destiny. George, as a future king, received special attention, but William and Kate were determined all 3 children should understand both their privileges and responsibilities. They spoke openly about service, about using their platform for good, about the importance of kindness and hard work. Their relationship with the media had evolved into a careful balance. They provided regular, controlled glimpses into their family life. Birthday photographs taken by Kate, brief video clips of the children, while fiercely protecting their privacy. When publishers violated agreements about photographing the children at school, William's response was swift and uncompromising. As they entered their 40s, William and Kate had transformed from the young couple who met at university into confident senior royals. They had learned to navigate tragedy and triumph, family disputes and public criticism, global pandemics and social change. Through it all, their partnership had deepened, their commitment to service had strengthened, and their vision for a modern monarchy had clarified. The shy girl from Berkshire and the prince who had lost his mother too young had grown into leaders, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They had built the stable family life both had craved while embracing the public duties that came with their position. Most importantly, they had shown that it was possible to be both human and royal, both traditional and modern, both devoted to family and dedicated to service. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022 fundamentally altered William and Kate's position within the royal family. In an instant, they became the Prince and Princess of Wales, titles that carried not just honor, but immense responsibility. The woman who had once been Catherine Middleton from Bucklebury now held the title last used by William's beloved mother, Diana. The weight of this transition was not lost on either of them. Standing beside King Charles III during those first difficult days, William showed a composure that impressed even seasoned royal observers. His tribute to his grandmother was perfectly pitched, personal yet regal, acknowledging both private loss and public duty. Kate, dressed in black pearls that had belonged to the Queen, provided quiet strength. Her hand occasionally touching William's arm in a gesture of support visible to billions watching worldwide. The new Prince and Princess of Wales approached their elevated roles with a clear vision. They would honor the past while firmly establishing their own path forward. Their first joint engagement in Wales after receiving their titles demonstrated this balance perfectly. They spent time with communities, spoke Welsh phrases Kate had been practicing, and listened more than they spoke. Gone was any sense of arriving to be admired. Instead, they came to understand and serve. William's Earthshot Prize initiative revealed the kind of king he intended to become. Launched before his grandmother's passing, the environmental award showed global ambition matched with practical action. He wasn't content with ribbon-cutting and handshaking. He wanted measurable impact. Kate supported this vision while developing her own revolutionary approach to early childhood development, understanding that the roots of social problems often lay in the first 5 years of life. Their move to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor had been planned before the Queen's death, but took on new significance after. The 4-bedroom home, modest by royal standards, sat close to Windsor Castle, where the Queen had spent her final years. The children could bike to school, play in private gardens, and grow up with cousins nearby. It represented their determination to provide stability for George, Charlotte, and Louis, even as their public responsibilities intensified. The coronation of King Charles III in May 2023 provided the world with a glimpse of the future. William's role as the Prince of Wales saw him pledge loyalty to his father in a moment heavy with symbolism. But it was the sight of William and Kate with their children, Charlotte and Louis, behaving impeccably despite the long ceremony's demands that captured public imagination. Here was a family prepared for the unique challenges ahead. Kate's evolution into a future queen consort accelerated rapidly. She hosted her first investiture ceremony, handing out honors with a personal touch that recipients wouldn't forget. Her speeches became more substantial, tackling complex issues around mental health, addiction, and social inequality. She had found her voice, one that combined warmth with authority, accessibility with appropriate royal distance. The prince and princess began reshaping the monarchy for the digital age. Their social media presence felt authentic rather than corporate, sharing behind-the-scenes moments and causes close to their hearts. When they launched their YouTube channel, the informal videos of their family life balanced perfectly with serious content about their work. They understood that mystique alone could no longer sustain the monarchy. Connection was essential. International tours took on new significance as they represented not just the royal family, but Britain's future leadership. Their visit to the United States saw them navigate complex political waters with skill, focusing on shared values around mental health and environmental protection while avoiding controversial topics. Kate's appearance at the Earthshot Prize ceremony in Boston, wearing rented designer clothing to emphasize sustainability, showed sophisticated understanding of messaging. The ongoing situation with Harry and Meghan required delicate handling. William and Kate maintained dignified silence, even as accusations flew. Their response came not through words but actions, demonstrating through their conduct the values they believed the monarchy should represent. They refused to be drawn into public disputes, understanding that the institution was bigger than any individual conflict. George's preparation for his future role began to accelerate subtly. At 10 years old, he attended more state occasions, always positioned where he could observe his parents and grandfather. William shared stories of his own childhood preparations, trying to balance normality with necessity. Kate ensured all 3 children understood service before privilege, duty alongside joy. Their work style evolved to match contemporary expectations. Gone were the days of purely ceremonial appearances. Every engagement had purpose. Every initiative had measurable goals. Kate's Center for Early Childhood became a serious research institution, while William's homelessness project sought to demonstrate that intractable social problems could be addressed with sufficient will and resources. The Princess of Wales's fashion choices became increasingly strategic. She mixed high street with high-end, repeated outfits regularly, and chose British designers to support the domestic industry. Every appearance was carefully considered, understanding that her platform could promote causes simply through what she wore. Her elegant yet approachable style influenced millions while avoiding the extravagance that might alienate struggling families. Behind palace walls, they were modernizing the institution's operations. William pushed for greater transparency in royal finances and more diverse hiring practices. Kate championed flexible working arrangements for staff, understanding from her own experience the challenges of balancing family and demanding careers. They wanted the monarchy's private practices to match its public values. Their children grew before the nation's eyes, each developing distinct personalities. George showed increasing confidence at public events. Charlotte displayed a charmingly bossy streak, while Louis provided moments of levity with his energetic antics. The couple's decision to share more glimpses of family life, through Kate's photography and carefully chosen video clips, helped the public feel invested in the next generation. The king's cancer diagnosis in early 2024 thrust even more responsibility onto William and Kate's shoulders. They seamlessly took on additional duties while maintaining their own initiatives. William's increased state responsibilities didn't diminish his environmental advocacy. Kate's stepping up for major events didn't reduce her early years' work. They had learned to expand without diluting their impact. Public approval for the couple reached new heights as they demonstrated readiness for their future roles. Polls consistently showed them as the most popular royals, trusted to modernize the institution while maintaining its essential character. They had achieved what seemed impossible, making the monarchy feel both special and relatable, distant enough to inspire yet close enough to connect. Their speeches began carrying more weight, addressing national moments with growing authority. When William spoke about international conflicts or domestic challenges, he sounded increasingly like a future king. Kate's addresses on childhood development and family support resonated across political divides, showing how royal influence could unite rather than divide. As they looked toward the future, William and Kate had successfully positioned themselves as a bridge between the traditional monarchy and whatever form the institution would take in coming decades. They honored the past, William often speaking movingly of his grandmother's legacy, while clearly indicating change would come. Their partnership, tested by tragedy and strengthened by shared purpose, provided the stable foundation the monarchy needed. The young couple who had met as students had evolved into leaders ready for the ultimate responsibility. They had shown that duty and love need not conflict, that tradition and progress could coexist, that the monarchy could remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. Standing on the Buckingham Palace balcony during recent celebrations, watching their children wave to crowds below, William and Kate embodied the future of the British monarchy. They were no longer preparing for their destiny, they were living it. The king and queen they would one day become were already visible in the prince and princess they had become. The transformation was complete. The middle-class girl and the grieving prince had grown into confident leaders ready to guide the monarchy through whatever challenges lay ahead. They had created the stable, loving family both had craved while embracing the public service their positions demanded. Most remarkably, they had shown that the crown could evolve without losing its essence, that it could be both ancient and modern, both grand and accessible. As they entered this new era of their lives, William and Kate stood ready. The crown might not yet rest on William's head, but the responsibilities of future sovereignty already shaped their every decision. They had stepped fully into their king and queen era, not through coronation, but through conduct, not by proclamation, but by preparation. The monarchy's future was secure in their capable hands, a testament to the power of partnership, purpose, and unwavering dedication to service. The story that began in the halls of St. Andrews had evolved into something greater than either could have imagined. Two young people seeking normalcy had found extraordinary purpose. In accepting their destiny, they had not lost themselves, but discovered their truest calling. The future king and queen were ready, and the nation watched with confidence as they continued their journey toward the throne.